Today I'm on the phone with some good friends from San Francisco who are in the horticulture business. I'm wearing my scarf and my hat because I wanted to be like in the homesteading gardening feel, you know. Please introduce yourself and tell us, who you are and what you're up to in San Francisco in the world of gardening and horticulture.
I'm Brandon Grimaldi.
I'm Angel, and we're owners of Bramble and Vine. We've been in business for about 5 years now.
We're well over a month into a pandemic in the United States, and the nation has been brought to its knees economically. And we're starting to see like factories shutting down that provide, meat and food and stuff for the nation. And you're also seeing a rise of people taking that into their own hands, creating their own food and planting their own food. Why is homesteading blowing up right now?
I think it's panic of running out of food. The supply chain is, I'm not going to say breaking, but it is seeing the unfortunate consequences of the pandemic. And people are scared and they want to be resourceful and they want to go back to old traditions in which they were able to produce some of the things that they needed.
I mean, we used to be a people that grew our own food. I feel like we've gotten so far away from that, especially in cities.
Wherever we are, wherever we come from, people have always lived off of the land. It is now that everything comes neatly double packed in something that's not natural.
That's going to end up in the belly of a whale.
Exactly.
One of the added benefits of making things yourself is like reusing containers and not creating so much waste.
When we have vegetables in the pantry that have been there for too long, instead of figuring out that those things, you can start a little bit of a garden with them, people just throw them away. But there's a lot of food items that are in your kitchen that you can start off and replant something. I actually have some examples here if you'd like to look at them.
Please, I'd love to see.
All right. So, you guys see this?
It is beautiful.
So when you grab a celery stalk and you cut it straight across, you can just place it in water and it will continue to grow leaves if it's in a sunny, bright area. And as soon as it gets roots, this one doesn't have any yet, but as soon as it gets them, just plant them in some soil and you'll get another celery plant.
Get out of here. That's awesome. I had no idea.
Here I have some bok choy where it's slightly different. You have to leave a small area of the center alive. And you can start to see that it has nodes where roots are about to sprout from here.
When can you stick it in the ground?
As a rule of thumb, you want a couple of inches of roots.
Okay.
So that's now once the roots are long, that's when you place it in soil. And same applies for something as simple as a tomato that I was finding that had mold. I don't know if you can see though, but when I cut it in half, all of the seeds are actually sprouting.
Just
so
like
if this
that.
goes into the soil, it will grow new tomato plants.
It's a giant like tomato bomb.
basically, as long as it gets light. Same applies to garlic. As soon as it starts to get that little green tip, you can place it in water, grow roots, or place it straight in the soil, and it will continue to grow and just basically create more garlics for you. And there's a lot of vegetables that you can do that with.
That's awesome.
It's important to choose the right kind of soil if you're going to be eating whatever you're growing.
Yes, you always want to choose something organic. The plant is a combination of sunlight and water. If the water is contaminated, you are eating something that's contaminated. The best way to do any sort of gardening that you're going to consume is just by creating healthy soil, and a good organic compost can help you do that.
So the garden keeps you busy. It's healthy. You're outside. What about the people that are living in small spaces? Can they grow something in their homes?
You can. It's a little bit more challenging. There's technology like, I believe, like the Topsy Turvey, which is a hanging tomato basket. That's for tomatoes that you can hang in your window. There
you can grow tomatoes in hanging baskets?
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you Google Topsy Turvey, you'll see it. For example, potatoes are going to be the easiest thing that you can grow. So just play around with that. Get a bucket, throw some soil, put some potatoes close to the surface, and watch it grow. And once you harvest something that you grew or something that you saw mature, you're going to have a really different appreciation. You're going to savor that potato like no other potato that you had before, just because you grew it.
That is truth. You know, you put that elbow grease into it and you have a new appreciation. And yeah, and herbs. I mean, I'm growing a little herb garden in my kitchen. Just I have a little daylight lamp, and it's on a timer, and it gives it enough daylight. A little collection that has been adding flavor to my microwavable dinners and beans that I
gotta start somewhere, you know.
So can you talk a bit like how right now your life's been impacted and how you're handling this and adapting to this crisis?
What I've been doing even before the pandemic is like, if I went and buying something that I know is going to, like, say it comes in a disposable container or something, I'll ask myself if this is something that I can make myself. And that's what happened with me with like a peanut sauce that I bought at the grocery store, that I used to buy at the grocery store all the time. And when it just wasn't there anymore because, options are limited right now. And I looked it up, and it turned out that it was like super easy. So, we had all this lumber that we've sort of been hoarding, put it together and made veggie bed. And then on top of that, we also used even more of that lumber that we'd been hoarding to build a chicken coop and got 4 chickens.
Yeah.
And
you guys have chickens?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This is nice because you can actually see that they're like, happy chickens going about their business, enjoying their lives.
Right. They're not shoved into a cage with their beaks cut off and treated
first knowledge is that they're the happy, healthy chickens, which is reassuring that you're not giving your money to people that are profiting from animal torture, basically.
Absolutely. No, that's really important. I can't even get eggs here in Savannah. Eggs are off the shelf. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of baking is on the rise and people are buying eggs. But I got connected with this goat farmer, and she has wild chickens, and she's been like, she goes in the wild, finds them every day, like an Easter hunt. And then she gathers them. And then she's like, got this client list that I managed to get on there, and she drives like an hour dropping off the eggs, and these eggs show up and they're like all different colors. They're totally natural, and I just like, I think we're seeing this like interesting boom in people being reconnected to their producers.
It's a little unfortunate that it took something like fear of collapse of civilization for people to get to gardening, but at least like our backs are to a wall to the point where we're actually getting more connected with our food, with where our food comes from.
But maybe it did take a pandemic, a total, global crisis for us to like wake up and say, hey, what we're eating and our relationship to this, food is really key to survival. That'll make an impact or remind us where we come from.
I think this is a good time to really think as to where we want to go and how we want to proceed. I think that it's not just connecting us with nature, it's also connecting us more with each other. There's a lot more people sharing knowledge and asking questions about gardening, about homesteading, about keeping chickens, about growing your own food, or even how to keep plants alive. And I think that that's basically where we should be heading as a society, as individuals, and as neighbors. If you join a local forum where it's your neighbors, where it's your own community that has expert nurserymen, expert gardeners, those are the best people to ask about your local region.
Yeah, Nextdoor is a really good example of that. And if there isn't already a gardening group in your neighborhood on Nextdoor, you can just create one. Angel created a gardening group, now there's like 6 different gardening groups with like, I don't want to say thousands, but many hundreds of people.
Wow. So basically find out what's growing in your, like, what is local, find out what's good local.
Like if you have a type of soil where you want to grow corn, but tomatoes are better, perhaps you can figure out if your neighbor can grow the corn, you grow the tomatoes, and then just share the crop. That's what I mean, is that if you start with wherever you're at, your location, just figure out what works there and go from there.
And sort of share the resources with your neighbors. Back. Angel and Brandon, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today. And please take good care of yourself in this pandemic. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Much love. See you soon.